She's got help.
What's up everyone, it's Blue here at Blue Bears Games, and for today's video I will be unboxing the first of the two Phyrexia All-Will-Be-One Commander Precons, Rebellion Rising. This precon is red and white, or Boros colors, and is helmed by Neyali Sun's Vanguard. Let me go over Neyali real quick before we rip this bad boy open. Neyali is 4 mana for a 3/3 legendary human rebel with 2 abilities. The first states that attacking tokens you control have double strike, and the second ability states that whenever one or more tokens you control attack a player, you exile the top card of your library, and during any turn you attacked with a token, you may play that card. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this is probably a token-making go-wide style of deck. I'm not sure why I think this, but I just have a feeling. So rather than speculate, why don't I just get started and show you what's in the box. I'll start by showing you what the box looks like from the outside. It has the face commander here, and then on the back it has some stuff on here. It's not really that important. What is important is what's inside the box, so let's crack that open, and I'll show you. This is more traditional than the other commanders that I opened for the last couple weeks. It's a little bit easier to get into. I'll show you what it is. It has the counters on it, on the top and on the sides. On the back there's this, and I use this as a divider for all of my card boxes. It's a great addition to doing that. Then we look at the box itself. I don't like these boxes. It's not like the Warhammer 40k ones, but this is what they give us now. So at least they give us a box, right? And as you can see why I don't like them, I didn't even do anything with this box, and it's already not together. Got the contents in here, so we've got the divider. We've got the life counter, which I like that they made them very neutral. They're just black with the Planeswalker symbol. That's not bad. The pamphlet on the inside doesn't really have much in it, except for advertisements, I'm sure. Maybe a little bit about the deck. Yeah, a little bit about the deck. Nothing too important. If you want to read that, if you get it, you can. We get the Phyrexia All-Will-Be-One Collector's Booster Sample Pack, which usually has one card that's worth nothing. Sometimes it does. And then we have the deck, which is important. So I'll start off by opening up the Collector's Sample Pack, and I'm going to zoom so that we can get a better view. Alright, so let's open this bad boy up, if I can. There we go. And see what we get. Alright. We start off with Argentum Masticore, just a rare, there's nothing special about it, maybe a little borderless, and then Urabrask's Anointer in foil, and again, like I said, nothing really special comes out of them for me. I haven't had a big hit on one of them, so. And then the important part of this video will be the deck, so let me go ahead and open that bad boy up, and then we'll show you what's in it. It's been a while since I've had the opportunity to look at this deck, probably about a year or so. I don't know exactly when this was released, but it's been a while, so I don't remember what's in it. So, I showed you what Neyali does, so we can skip that and go to what they suggest as a secondary commander, which is Athari Sun's Glory, which is a 5 to cast, 3/3, legendary Phoenix, which is interesting because it does do stuff with Phoenixes, I'm sure. Has flying, lifelink, and haste, which is a good combination. And then it says whenever it attacks, you get an experience counter, and then create a 2/2 red rebel creature token that's tapped and attacking for each experience counter you have. And then it does what I think all Phoenixes do at some point. You can pay 4, tap, and untap a rebel you control to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So it does do it return itself, which is what a lot of Phoenixes do. Moving on, we're going to go to the next card, Battle Screech. It's 4 to cast sorcery. Create 2 1/1 white bird creature tokens with flying, and it has flashback that you can tap 3 untapped white creatures you control to flash it back. So it creates tokens for you. Cut a Deal, 3 to cast sorcery. Each opponent draws a card, then you draw a card for each opponent that drew a card this way. Generous Gift, nice little reprint. It's good removal. It says destroy target permanent, and it doesn't say non-land, so you can even do land destruction with this, and then its controller will be able to create a 3/3 green elephant creature token, so it's a little give and take there. Gold Knight Commander, it's a 4 to cast 2/2 that says whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. So this is a good card for token strategies or go wide strategies. However, you have to remember that the +1/+1 bonus only applies to creatures that are on the battlefield when it triggers, not for future instances. Intangible Virtue, it's 2 to cast enchantment that gives all creature tokens you control +1/+1 and vigilance. Midnight Haunting, it's a 3 to cast instant that creates 2 1/1 spirit creature tokens with flying, so this is a go wide theme. Path to Exile, good removal. Phantom General, another anthem for creature tokens. It gives all creature tokens +1/+1. It's a 2/3 creature for 4. Prava of the Steel Legion, I have a commander precon that I make that uses Prava as one of the generals. I use it as a partner with Nadir, It's a 3 to cast 1/4 that says as long as it's your turn, creature tokens you control get +1/+4, and for each 4 you put into it, you can create a 1/1 red creature token, or I'm sorry, white soldier creature token, and again, it has partner. Hate Mirage, 4 to cast. It's a sorcery that says choose up to 2 target creatures you don't control, and for each of those creatures, you create a token that's a copy of those creatures, and they gain haste, and exile them at the beginning of the next end step. Hordeling Outburst, 3 to cast sorcery. Create 3 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. Very simple. Loyal Apprentice, I was actually happy to see this as a reprint in a couple of Commander sets ago. I want to use this for Perforos. It's a 2 to cast 2/1 with haste that has Lieutenant, and its Lieutenant ability says at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying that gains haste until end of turn. Good card for token creation, and really good with Perforos. Boros Charm is a 2 to cast instant that you get to choose to either deal 4 damage to target player or planeswalker, or permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn, or target creature gains double strike until end of turn. It's a Swiss Army knife. It can do a lot of different things. It's a good one, too. Heroic Reinforcements, 4 to cast sorcery. You create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens until end of turn. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and haste. Rip Apart, 2 to cast instant. You get to choose to either deal 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker, or destroy target artifact or enchantment. It's a good Swiss Army knife of removal. Arcane Signet, which goes in every deck except for apparently one of the Warhammer 40k ones. Boros Signet, Mana Fixing, Commander Sphere, Felwar Stone, Mask of Memory for some card draw to equip one of those tokens, Mind Stone, so Ramp, Soul Ring, Soul Guide Lantern, 1 to cast artifact that when it enters the battlefield, you exile a target card from a graveyard. It can be yours, it can be your opponent's, doesn't matter which. You can tap it and sacrifice it to exile each opponent's graveyard, or you can pay 1 and tap it, sack it to draw a card. So it's there's a lot of Swiss Army knife stuff in here. Talisman of Conviction. It's a mana rock. It taps to add a colorless, or you can tap it to add a white or red, and it deals damage to you. So it's like essentially a pain land, but in a mana rock form. Boros Garrison, the bounce land for red-white. Buried Ruin helps you get artifacts back from your graveyard to your hand. Command Tower should be in every deck that is more than 1 color. Forgotten Cave, the red cycling land for 1. Clever Concealment is a 4 to cast instant that has Convoke. Convoke means that your creatures can help pay for its mana cost by tapping 1 to pay for either 1 or 1 of its mana colors that's in the actual card you tapped. And then any number of target non-land permanents you control phase out, so it protects them without removing enchantments or auras or artifacts from them. They stay equipped or attached to them, and then they come back at the end of, I believe it's your turn. It says treat them and anything attached to them as though they don't exist until your next turn. So they stay phased out until the beginning of your next turn. It's good protection. Helps against board wipes. Glimmer Lens is a 2 to cast artifact equipment. Has 4 Mirrodin, which says when this equipment enters the battlefield, you create a 2/2 red rebel creature token, then attach this equipment to it. And when the equipped creature and at least 1 other creature attacks, you draw a card, and it equips for 2. 1 white and 1 of any, to be more specific. Kemba's Banner is a 4 to cast equipment. It also has 4 Mirrodin, so you create that 2/2 rebel creature. The equipped creature will get +1/+1 for each creature you control, and it equips for 3. This is definitely a token go wide deck. Staff of the Storyteller is a 2 to cast artifact that when it enters the battlefield, you create a 1/1 spirit creature token with flying. And whenever you create 1 or more creature tokens, you put a story counter on it, and then you can pay 1 white, tap it, and remove a story counter from it to draw a card. That's actually not bad. It's kind of slow roll draw, but it's red and white. What better options do you really have? Gold Warden's Gambit is 8 to cast. It has affinity for equipment, so it can be cheaper since this will have, apparently it has a lot of equipment in it. So it'll cost 1 less to cast for each equipment you control. And then it says create 5 2/2 red rebel creature tokens, and they gain haste until end of turn. And for each one of those tokens, you may attach an equipment to it. One of the cool things is that these tokens don't go away at end of turn, so they stay as long as they lived through the combat, if they have gone into combat. Hexplate Wallbreaker, 5 to cast equipment. Has 4 Mirrodin, so you create that 2/2 red rebel token. The creature that is equipped to will get +2/+2, and whenever the equipped creature attacks, if it's the first combat of the turn, you untap each attacking creature. Then after this phase, there is an additional combat phase, and it equips for 4. So this is a additional combat equipment. That's actually not bad. Roar of Resistance is a 2 to cast enchantment that says creature tokens you control have haste. Well, I kind of like that. And then whenever 1 or more creatures attack, you may pay a red and a colorless. And if you do, or I'm sorry, 1 generic and 1 red. If you do, creatures attacking your opponents and or planeswalkers that they control get +2/+0 until end of turn. Volshok Factory. It's a 3 to cast artifact. It looks like a mana rock. It taps to add a red, and you put a charge counter on it. and then you can pay 3 and tap it and sacrifice it to create an XX colorless Golem artifact creature token with haste, where X is the number of charge counters that was on it when you activated the ability, and you can activate it only as a sorcery. Call the Coppercoats is a 3 to cast instant with Strive. Strive means that this spell costs 1 white and 1 generic more to cast for each target beyond the first, and it says choose any number of target opponents. Create X 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens, where X is the number of creatures that those opponents control. Actually, that's not a bad one for token creation. Collective Effort, 3 to cast, has Escalate. To escalate it, you tap an untapped creature that you control, and then you choose one or more, and obviously, to escalate it, to get more than 1 activation, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater, destroy target enchantment, or put a +1/+1 counter on each creature target player controls. Okay. Not sure about that card. I mean, I've seen it many times. I'm just not a fan of it. Court of Grace, 4 to cast enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch, and that has its own set of rules. I'm just going to throw some of the rules up on the screen so you can see what they are. At the beginning of your upkeep, you create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying, and if you're the Monarch, you create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying instead. Elspeth Terrell, 5 to cast, Planeswalker, comes into play with 4 loyalty counters and has 3 loyalty abilities. It has an uptick of 2, and you gain 1 life for each creature you control. It has a downtick of 2, where you create 3 1/1 white soldier creature tokens, and the ultimate is a -5 loyalty counters, and you destroy all other permanents except for lands and tokens. It's not a bad addition for this deck. Amiria Angel is a 4 to cast 3/3 flyer with a landfall ability, and the landfall ability says whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. Felidar Retreat. I actually kind of like this deck. This is up my alley. I'm not lying. I'm not going to lie. I really like Felidar Retreat. It's a 4 to cast enchantment with landfall, so whenever a land enters play, you can choose to do one or the other. And the 2 choices are to either create a 2/2 white cat beast creature token, or put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain vigilance until end of turn. Finale of Glory. 2 white and X. You create X 2/2 white soldier creature tokens with vigilance. However, if X is 10 or more, you also create X 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance. So basically, you create Sarah Angels if X is 10 or more. Flawless Maneuver, 3 to cast. If you control your commander, you may cast it for free, basically. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Good for saving all those creatures. Harmonious Archon is a 6 to cast 4/5 flyer. It says non-Archon creatures have a base power and toughness 3/3. So all those little 1/1s that are basically just little soldiers would become 3/3s now. And then when it enters the battlefield, you also create 3 1/1 human creature tokens. Our Reckoning, it's a board wipe for non-token creatures. Increasing Devotion, it's a token creator, so it's 5 to cast. You create 5 1/1 white human creature tokens, and if the spell is cast from your graveyard, because it has flashback, I have 9, you create 10 of those. Mace of the Valiant, another equipment. It's a 3 to cast equipment that says the equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each charge counter on the mace, and has vigilance, and then whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a charge counter on the mace. Martial Coup, 2 white and X, create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. If X is 5 or more, destroy all other creatures. Maw of the Skyclaves, another equipment. It's 3 to cast, equips for 4, and when it enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control for free, and the equipped creature gets +2/+2, flying, and first strike. Mentor of the Meek, 3 to cast 2/2. Whenever another creature with a power of 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 mana. Doesn't matter what color. It doesn't have to be a color at all. And if you do, you draw a card. Silver Wing Squadron is a 6 to cast Star Human Knight that has flying and vigilance, where the power and toughness is equal to the number of creatures you control, and whenever it attacks, you create a number of 2/2 white knight creature tokens with vigilance equal to the number of opponents that you have. So if you have 3 opponents, you create 3. If you have 2, you create 2, and so on. White Sun's Zenith is 3 white and X. You create X 2/2 white cat creature tokens, and then you shuffle it into your library, which is great for reusability. Second half of the deck. Chain Reaction, it is a 4 to cast sorcery that deals X damage to each creature, or X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. So the more creatures, the more damage. Dragon Master Outcast is a 1 to cast 1/1 that says at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 6 or more lands, you create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. Pretty simple. Legion Warboss, 3 to cast 2/2 Goblin with Mentor. Mentor means that whenever this creature attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature with a lesser power. And then at the beginning of combat on your turn, you create a 1/1 red Goblin creature token, and that token gains haste until end of turn and attacks this combat if able.
Siege Clan Commander. 5 to cast 2/2. It's another goblin. When it enters the battlefield, create 3 1/1 red goblin creature tokens, and then you can pay 2 and sacrifice a goblin to have Siege Gang Commander deal 2 damage to any target. Adriana, Captain of the Guard, is a 5 to cast 4/4 with melee, and melee says whenever this creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each opponent you attack this combat. So you attack with one person, it gets +1/+1. But if you've split your attacks between 2 or 3, it gets +2/+2 or +3/+3. And then other creatures you control also have melee, which makes for a whole lot of fun. Assemble the Legion is a 5 to cast enchantment. I actually like this one a lot. At the beginning of your upkeep, you put a counter on it, and then create a 1/1 red and white soldier creature token with haste for each counter that was put on it. And they're called muster counters. I don't really care what the counter's name is. Jor Kadeen the Prevailer, 5 to cast 5/4 with first strike, and Metalcraft. And the Metalcraft is creatures you control get +3/+3 as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. Idol of Oblivion, one of my favorite cards. I actually like this card a lot. It is 2 to cast. It's an artifact that lets you tap it to draw a card, but you can only activate it if you've created a token during that turn, or you can also pay 8, tap it, and sack it to create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. Now, for me, I like it for the card draw. I don't think I've ever used it for the Eldrazi creator. Loxodon Warhammer, 3 to cast equipment that equips for 3. The equipped creature gets +3/+0, trample, and lifelink. There's some combos with this, but I won't get into that now. Mirror Battlesphere, this is 7 to cast 4/7, that when it enters the battlefield, you create 4 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature tokens. And then it has, whenever it attacks, you may tap X untapped mirror you control. If you do, it gets +X/+0 until end of turn, and deals X damage to the player or planeswalker that it's attacking. Sadbot, or Solemn Simulacrum, 4 to cast 2/2, we know about this one. When it enters play, you go get a land and put it into play. It's a basic land, of course. And then when it dies, you draw a card. Some of the lands we're going to get into now, I think. Castle Ardenvale. This is the castle that creates tokens. So it comes into play tapped and lets you control planes. It taps to add a white, and then you can pay 4 and tap it to create a 1/1 white human creature token. Castle Embereth. Another castle. It comes into play tapped and lets you control mountain. It taps to add a red, and then for 3, and you tap it, creatures you control get a buff of +1/+0 until end of turn. Exotic Orchard is in almost every precon, more prominent than apparently Arcane Signet. Fury Calm Snarl. It's the red-white land that you have to reveal whatever the colors it is, the basic land that correlates with the colors it is, and if you don't reveal one of those, it comes into play tapped. Kirkkeep, one of my favorite cards in the game, because I do love a good Kobold deck. I used to play one of those back in Legends. So it taps out a colorless, and then you can pay 1 and 1 red, tap it to create an 0/1 red Kobold creature named Kobolds of the Kirkkeep. I love this card. Slayer Stronghold taps to add a colorless, and then you can pay a red and white and tap it to have target creature you control get +2/+2, vigilance, and haste until end of turn. Temple of Triumph. Windbrisk Heights, it's the hideaway white lands. You can go ahead and read that if you want. I'm not going to. I don't like the hideaway lands that much. Myriad Landscape, good land fetcher. Path of Ancestry. Secluded Steppe is the one white cycle land. Temple of the False God. I believe we're going to hit all the mountains, all the plains, and then, of course, the new thing that they did, instead of making an oversized card, they made it an over-thick card, so you can't lose it in your deck if it gets shuffled in if you want to use that. And then we've got tokens. So we've got a Monarch token, a Kobold or the Kirkkeep token, which I'm kind of happy about because I do use that, so I'm going to get used to that. Some Mirror tokens, some Soldier tokens, Rebel Bird, nothing too extravagant. Backside, we've got Angels, obviously Elephants, basically all the different types of tokens that you can create, they've got them.
So that's what comes inside the Phyrexia All-We-One Rebellion Rising Commander Precon. Sadly, we are back to those horrible deck boxes, but I knew that before I even bought the Precon, so I guess I can't be too mad. As far as the actual deck goes, the token theme is a personal favorite of mine, so I like this Precon a lot. Of all the WotC Precons I've opened over the years, I feel that this is probably the best one they've made for someone just starting the game to date. It's an easy one to understand, and the mechanics aren't too hard for a beginner to learn. However, like all WotC Precons, it could use a little upgrading. Luckily, I will have that video up on the channel tomorrow morning, so please be sure to check back tomorrow for that. That's all I've got for you today, so unless you decide to go watch some of my other videos, which I do highly recommend, I will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and please be sure to give the video a like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Have a great day.